Yeah. All right.
Hey, Star Wars fans, Rule the Galaxy fans. It's been a while. Brent, you can sing that in a little bit. It's been a while, but we're back better than ever. And I can honestly say that as we've made a switch from one streaming service to another streaming service. It is Joe in the pilot seat. We are running chapter 298. Yes, 298 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. If you would like, we would really appreciate it on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all social media platforms you can think of. Go like, subscribe, everything like that. We are on all podcast platforms, so go check us out there as well. But this is chapter 298 of the Rule of the Galaxy podcast, and I am surrounded by some of the best guys in the world, some of my best pals, the people who've been the rocks of this show for 4 or 5 years now, and I'm going to lead us around the room here. We'll start with my cousin, my pal, Alfie Molinaro. How you doing, Alfie?
Hey, doing good, Joe. Glad to be back. It's been a little bit. We got a lot to talk about.
We do. I see you're in the dark. Is that for any reason in particular?
Well, one, it's pretty late, and no, not any reason other than the house is now brightly painted white, so it's very bright. I feel like
You're getting in selling mode, aren't you, Alf?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Okay. Good, 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 good. Well, it's always good to be back with you. Hey, one of the guys that I've been around recently, just recently, was my good pal Brent Dykeman. We had a trivia night the other night and had a blast. Brent, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, but currently I just turned my camera off because I'm having connection issues. So I'm not going to derail us too much. I'll just say it was fun doing trivia, and I'll throw a couple comments in here and there when I can, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay,
It
well,
comes in clear, at
yeah,
least.
you sound perfect. So yeah, thanks for being here. Trivia was fun. It was great spending time with you. It's always good for us to make a little side hustle money doing trivia. And if anybody's listening out there in Central Indiana that needs
Highway robbery.
that needs two guys to do some jokes, spin out some trivia, and have some fun with people, let us know. Joe and Brent at Rule of the Galaxy will be more than happy to do that for you. Last but not least, the guy who's put all this together, our not only one of our co-hosts, but our producer, the guy who gets this thing all going, is D-Doc from Philly, wearing his Phillies hat. D-Doc, so glad to see you again. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back here. You know, it's been a while. We had a little bit of a break. We had like a almost like a 2 week bye week here, so we're coming in fresh.
Yeah. If only everybody we knew came off bye weeks and did well. But that's another story for another time. That's for another podcast. So, but it's good, and it's 298. And I have started talking to some people about chapter 300, and I think we might be able to get fan favorite Steve Glosson on here with us, and I don't know, maybe have him do some Attenborough voices, things like that.
I will say, with this new program, we can get up to 12 people on one stream at one time. So,
It's madness with 4 sometimes. 12 would be
can you
utter.
imagine that? We
We'd
just
have
have to tell everyone to yell together at one point. Just start yelling and see what it sounds like.
we would be like the New Zealand Senate or Congress or whatever if we had 12 of us on here at one time
Doing the haka.
doing the haka. Or it'd be like our wives yelling after we come back from some convention and all the toys we bought. So, but it's good to be back, Dr. Squatch. Always so glad to see you. Thank you for being back with us. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And Dr. Squatch, I'm gonna ruin the surprise right now, but Dr. Squatch, you are the proud winner of the Star Wars: The Secrets of the Clone Troopers book. I pulled
Nice.
pulled it out of the hat, and you were the one. Yours was your review that you left. I grabbed that. You and me on Twitter, and I will get your address and send you out the book. Really excited for you to get that. Go ahead, Brent. I see some.
Oh, I
No.
was shaking my head because Doc played the round of applause for you.
They have a soundboard on this too, man. They have a soundboard. I haven't added anything into it yet, but you better believe there's going to be some Star Wars random sounds added into that.
So while you're talking about D-Doc, let's just bring this right out into the open and why some of the delays did occur. We talked about it a little bit on X/Twitter. StreamYard is bye-bye. We waved goodbye to StreamYard. It was a nice little run, but I don't feel like they did what we needed them to do, and some prices were going up, and we were seeing from other people that some things were going on. Where have you switched us over to? What have you got us on now with our brand new streaming service here?
Yeah, this is EvMux, which they even commented on my post just talking about how crazy StreamYard's price hike was. And it's funny because going on, after committing to this service, then going on YouTube and watching some stuff to try to learn the program, there's videos strictly dedicated to saying so you're going to StreamYard to EvMux now? Here's how it works. It's like I'm sure this company is bringing in a lot of people right now from StreamYard. Will they hold their price in the same spot? Time will tell, but we at least have it at a good price for 1 year right now. So I'm pretty happy with it. I see some features on this that I think will make our live streams and our YouTube videos a little more fun once I learn how to use them. And we can do a little bit of fun stuff with that. They have all kinds of graphics and widgets that you can pop up in show. So I think it's going to be a good move for us. I'm excited about it.
Good. The other thing I'll throw out there, hey, Hyperspace Heroes, thanks for welcoming us back. We talked about it a while back. Still want to make sure if people are interested, the plan still is right now, March 29th of 2025, to see about getting as many people we can who listen to the show, follow the show, friends of the show, to make the trip to the Great Ohio Toy Show in Xenia, Ohio. I can tell you right now, hands down, you will have a great time. You'll be blown away by some of the toys that are there and some of the memories you'll have of your childhood. But go check that out. I think they really promoted on Facebook. So check that out on Facebook, the Great Ohio Toy Show, March 29th, Xenia, Ohio. We'll keep talking about it. And DM us if you at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. If you're thinking about going, we'll start putting some plans together, and we'll probably do some live shows from there. So put that in the works. But guys, I think I'll start it off by just saying, Skeleton Crew, is that the biggest news that we can talk about right now with it coming up and the previews we've been seeing, the little news feed? Is there anything on Skeleton Crew that really stands out to you that you're like, hey, I want to hit this and talk about this right now? Because I know I'm excited for the show. I think it looks great. Can't wait.
Yeah, Alfie's been throwing a ton of stuff to us in the group chat over the last couple of weeks. I feel like Alfie's got a lot to say on it, probably.
Yeah, one thing that I'm really interested in is this. John Watts did an interview, I think yesterday, or it came out yesterday, and in it he talks about how one sequence is directly inspired from the holiday special, and the amount of time that went into creating this, because they basically had one, scene to work from. They were able to go back into the archives and find information on the costumes and some of the set, but then they had to recreate the music because there are no archive copies of the score for that. So it was just interesting him talking about how much, this may just be a few seconds, but the amount of time and effort that went into recreating this few seconds, I think, is pretty interesting. And I really
Go ahead.
Go before I transition here. You make your comment.
I was going to say, do we have any idea of what scene it might be? We had the Wookiee village, we had the cantina, we have, I'm trying to think where else we have the cartoon, the animated part with Boba Fett and the dragons and things like that. Do you have any idea of what scene they've talked about at all?
I really don't have an idea of what this scene is. Let me pull up the quote here. Give me just a second here, but I really like what I'm reading so far from interviews with the people working on the show. Seems like they were really working on making something new, but something old at the same time.
Did you guys see this? That they apparently released the Roundtable of Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I watched that.
Am I like living in a cave here? I did not see
I
that.
think so. I thought I shared that to the group chat, but maybe I didn't share the whole thing.
I didn't see the roundtable part. I've been reading all your articles, but I didn't see that. Go ahead, Brent.
I think you're muted, Brent.
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay.
Okay, so here's what he had to say.
What?
He said we thought we may be able to use some pre-existing footage, but no, it was way too low resolution and it was the wrong angles. We rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. We had to dig up the original designs of the costumes, get all the original specs. We had to redo the music from scratch because there was no copy anywhere. It ended up being 20 times more work than we anticipated. And the stunt coordinator was able to re-choreograph the routine too. So evidently there's a routine. So I'm thinking some kind of dance.
Did you see the comments from the Hyperspace Heroes podcast?
Well, that comes from ICC when we, what's his name?
You guys haven't
Warwick
watched that?
Davis. Warwick Davis was talking about Wookiee porn, so I'm guessing what they're saying is he was making a reference to the recreation of the Wookiee porn in Skeleton Crew.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll take it and we'll run with it. Hey, by the way, D-Doc, is that a Hey Arnold shirt you're wearing?
Oh, he's on there. It's got everyone
This
on
is
there.
for Nick.
Okay, Nickelodeon. Okay.
This is just the full Nickelodeon. It's got the crew that I grew up with on it.
It's fantastic.
It's one of my kids' favorite shirts when I wear it, and they have no clue who most of the characters are on it other than SpongeBob.
I need that. I need that shirt. I'm going to have to go look that one up. Okay, so some other things, Alfie, you've been, as D-Doc said, you've been sending us tons of great information on it. I loved the scene about I killed your captain. So, now I'm the captain, right? Which, I mean, in the pirate world, isn't that how it works? If you kill the captain of the ship, you become the captain of the ship, right?
That's the way it worked in Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
See, there we go.
Yep.
So that looks great. I think the other one that really stood out to me, well, there were a few, but one that I really liked was the the Ratatouille comment, where SM-33, the pirate robot, might have a mouse or some creature in his head.
I love it.
Yeah, that's one thing in the article that they talk about.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. It reminded me of Men in Black as well as Ratatouille, because wasn't there like a creature in somebody's head that was running, or an alien running a person? So
yeah, they have that one scene where they like press the button and it opens up and you just have this little tiny alien inside there. But yeah, that scene alone was just enough to sell me on this show. Just seeing that scene alone with her, taking over, the Captain Phillips scene. I'm the captain now. Look at me. I'm the captain now. That's essentially what happened. And it just looks like they're going to have fun with this show. And then the one that was playing with like the 80s style music to it kind of too. I think they got the right creators behind this one.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like there's a lot of good going on in the show. It could be a complete miss. We could all be misreading it. We might have seen the best of the show in the 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes we've seen so far. But, I'll go back to the Stephen Kent statement. Jude Law has said this show is going to be fun, right? It's going to be a fun show. So we'll go.
I was really amped story-wise for the Acolyte, and I'm not going to go on an Acolyte, tandem here or anything. So just bear with me. I'm going to bring it full circle. But if you've listened to the show, me from the very first trailer, from the very first pictures that came out in Empire. I said, "This looks wrong. There's something about this that doesn't look right."
Yep.
And you're right. We've seen maybe a total of 3 minutes of this series so far, but it doesn't have that there's nothing that I'm seeing that looks off. It does have a fresh kind of look to it, but it still feels like it's Star Wars.
I think one of the things I even like is, um, man, hyperspace. One of the things I like is even the announcers are making it like that 80s feel, right?
Nude
Mhm.
law.
Nude law. Gosh, Brent, you're
We see where Brown Leader's head's at.
he corrected it.
Just a little typo. The N is
Yeah.
close to the J on a keyboard, you know.
That's right. So that and Alfie, what was the name of that planet that you said the kids were from? And it
I'm
was
gonna have to
Old Republic. I think
Google
it was
that, but they said
At
it was
Atten?
the jewel of the Old Republic.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if we'd heard of it before. I think you said it was at Atten or something like that. Or Atatine or something. I don't know, but it was two A words back to back. So
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting thing that we're picking up from the trailer. How is it they can't find their way home and no one knows where this planet or how to get back to this planet? Because when they're on the planet, it looks like it has plenty of technology.
yes.
I mean, granted, it's a big galaxy and all that, but wouldn't the ship have some type of location on it, where it's been, how it got there?
Well, and with it being, like you said, a part of the Old Republic, the kids say, I think we might have just found a Jedi temple, an old Jedi temple.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talk about different parts of the Star Wars timeline where somebody like Rey is like, I thought that was just a myth, right? To these
Right.
people in this part of the timeline, which is post Return of the Jedi, saying, we think we just found an old Jedi temple. If that's the case, maybe being in the core, right, instead of in the outer rim or something like that, it's not so much of a myth, but known a little bit more. And people have historical backgrounds on it.
Right. But even with Rey, everyone knew how to get to Jakku.
Seemed like everybody wanted to freaking go to Jakku all the
Yeah,
time.
why does everybody want to go back to Jakku? At Atten.
I was guessing. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, I was talking to my wife today, and we were talking about top 10 list of movies of all time. And do you
Mhm.
know what she said might sneak into her top 10 movies of all time?
I'm interested to hear.
Revenge of
Me-
the Sith?
No. The Force Awakens.
Interesting.
She said she really liked that movie. Now, this is coming from a distant Star Wars fan because
Yeah,
she's married to me.
It makes total sense, though, because that was an extremely fun movie to go see, and it was a spectacle. It
Yep.
was like seeing Jurassic Park.
Yeah. But I thought that was really cool when we brought up Jakku. It just reminded me that she said that. So,
Robin
yeah.
said when we left the theater, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but that was just a really good movie. Not that it was a great Star Wars movie, it was just a really good movie.
Yeah. So there we go. Speaking of movies, we can keep talking Skeleton Crew, but something you brought up, a big weekend or a big, next week, this weekend and next week, big week of movies, Moana 2, Gladiator 2, and Wicked. And gosh, we're getting the advertisements for Wicked for sure. Is anybody planning to go see any of those movies? I will be going to see Gladiator 2 sometime in the next few days. How about anybody, the rest of you? Any of those big movies hitting you?
I'd
No.
already have Moana 2 tickets, and I plan to see Gladiator. Personally, I've been a fan of Wicked since I was young because I personally like Broadway music. When it's always odd to see something where you're a fan of it, and don't get me wrong, it's not like me being a fan of Wicked makes me a niche fan growing up, but there's not that many people that were into it where you're like, oh yeah, the soundtrack for Wicked or whatever. I've never seen the play, I just like the soundtrack. It's crazy to see Have you seen the merch that they're selling in stores for it?
Everywhere.
I don't know that people are going to buy the merch like that. They even have full on Lego sets of them. Have you
Yes.
seen that? I'm like, holy crap, they're not messing around. You go to Target, they've got headphones, they've
Full
got
display.
dolls, they've got displays, they've got Lego. I'm like, they're tapping into every market for this movie. Like, I know that people are going to show up to see it, and it's going to make money. And the reviews that are coming out are saying it's really damn good. It's honestly making me think I might hit all three of them. But Gladiator 2 is one where I'm just like, I love the first movie. I'm seeing this movie. I just love that vibe of a movie. So
Me too.
Moana 2 automatic, Gladiator 2 automatic. What's that, Alfie?
I refuse to watch the second one.
Well,
elaborate.
There's just no way that it could
No.
live up to the hype, and I'll just be disappointed, and then maybe even disappointed in myself because I'll like some of it, and then I don't know. I just think it was one of those movies that you should have just left alone.
True. If it wasn't my passion for that, I think about the Roman Empire every day. So if it wasn't for my passion for that, I probably wouldn't be into it. But I think the big mistake they've made, and I'll probably have more after I watch it, but the big mistake they made is it shouldn't have been called Gladiator 2. It really should have been like Gladiator, the curse of, or the wish of, or something like that, to where it wasn't like you felt like, calling Star Wars 2. I know they held that place in there for Empire Strikes Back, but it became Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, right? I think they should have done something like that for this Gladiator movie as well.
Yeah, like whatever. I forget the name of the new character who's following it up, but like, yeah, make it Gladiator, the rise of so and so or something like
Correct.
that. You know, what I found interesting, and I don't think this is spoiler area, but one of the movie review guys from Barstool, Jack Kennedy, he someone had commented to him and said, how was Pedro Pascal in it? And he just kind of was like, he was good, but he essentially has like no lines in the movie, which I found interesting. So it sounds like Pedro doesn't talk much in it. I'm probably I should probably say the exact quote of what he said, but it was something along those lines, which I was kind of surprised by.
So, in other words, he did the exact opposite of what he does in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Shows his face, but doesn't talk much.
Yeah. Let's see. Going back to Alpha, your comment earlier, Hyperspace Hero says Sifo Dyas removed the planet from the archives. Duh. That's very well played right there. Brent Dykeman says, hey guys, had to close out. I got frozen. So not let it go, but actually froze on the screen. Hyperspace, thank you for letting us know that he's not there. We are planning on talking about overpriced Legos here shortly. And and Brent agrees we'll go 45 minutes on Legos alone. So yeah. So I'm just gonna keep Alfie, I will tell you this. I did my best research off of our text chain from the past week. That is tonight's storyline. That is our walkthrough. So you should love this because these are all your points you've brought up from the Book of Alfie. The next one, I think is one of D-Doc's, but both of you put so much in there in the text chain that I thought we had plenty to talk about. Disney Plus, our good friends at Disney Plus. I had to bring this one up. When this started in November of 2019, Disney Plus was $6.99 a month. That was for the ad-free version. That was just a standard version. Now it is $9.99 a month if you get ads, and $15.99 a month if you go ad-free. That's a big increase right there. It's a big increase.
It's crazy,
especially with the garbage that they're putting on there. I'm sorry to be that way, but the Marvel shows, outside of a few of them, they weren't good. most of the Star Wars shows, they have an episode or two that are really, really good, and the rest is garbage. Visions 3 was announced this week. Awesome. I can't remember anything from season 2.
Me either.
I remember the meme from season 1, and that's about it. Oh yeah, and the Mos Eisley Rhapsody or whatever. I mean, I kind of remember that. So awesome, they're making more, but it's just not my thing. And they have no one but themselves to blame, because you can't spend $250 million on garbage like The Acolyte or She-Hulk or these other shows that no one watches and then expect everything to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, the only time I'm tuning into Disney Plus and fired up about a new show is it's one of these Star Wars shows that we're talking about. I mean, for me, we wear out the OG Pixar movies, the OG animated movies, Bluey. Like that's where Disney Plus earns its money in my house. But it's funny. The other day I was home with it was just me and Addison, and I was like, I'm gonna just put on YouTube TV and put on Disney Junior for once, and just not go like on demand for one day. Like I feel like you get so used to everything being on demand. Sometimes it is nice to just have regular TV on, see a commercial every now and then that you can't skip. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. They have that Disney Streams now. They really haven't advertised it on there, but I have put that on, and Attack of the Clones was on, and it was like in a random spot, and it was kind of fun to join in where it was at. Feel a little spontaneous, but they're saying in their earning reports now that Disney Plus is finally starting to make profits now, and that's because they've increased the price on us so much on it.
And they've given us less.
Yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, besides Acolyte, how long has it been since Andor was out? How long has it been since, well, I mean, some of these things have been in the books for years, and they're finally bringing them out now. So,
Andor wasn't viewed that heavily either. And your big money maker, The Mandalorian, is going to film. You're not getting a season 4 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I just thought that was a great point you brought up, and I had to bring it into what we were doing and discussing here. Hyperspace on the Vision side of things. Yeah, I mean, I remember the Vision season 1 much more than Vision season 2. So let's see if bringing back some of the studios that did season 1 makes it better. I would hope so. Vision 2 it wasn't memorable at all. So you guys brought up a good discussion point as we were talking about 2025, because I was like, what are we excited about? Yes, we're getting Andor. Yes, we were just told Visions 3. I don't know if that raises up any kind of banner there or not, but the Rise of Skywalker adaptation 6 years later doesn't really what kind of a needle does that move? And then, I mean, The Force Awakens will be 10 years old in 2025. So, I mean, that's kind of cool, but were there characters or toys or games or anything that they didn't make that would be good to bring out on the 10th anniversary that will help do some reminiscing and looking back at that? I mean, I don't know. Hopefully not what was the Zuvio? Was that the character that came out before everybody was, what was his name? Remember that guy?
Constable something.
Yeah, Constable Zuvio, I thought it was his name. Who I don't think you saw in the movie. If you did, was for a split second.
Yeah, Kylo Ren stabs him in the back in the Force Vision.
So, I mean, 2025, not a lot on the agenda, right? No Ahsoka return in 2025. Right now, no Kenobi season 2 in 2025. Mandalorian Grogu, is that 2026 still? I know they finished filming, but I think it's still 2026. So the only thing we know for sure are those 3 things, and and or season 2. So that's
May 22nd, 2026.
yeah. So I mean, it's a little slow. It might be a good time for another Tales of, if they want, or get us a new series. Come on, we'll take a new series. It would be a good series, Alfie. We talked about an animated series,
Shadows of the Empire.
and we just got release right of the Black series. You
Mhm.
said the Luke Skywalker and Dash Rendar.
Prince Caesar is already
Yep.
On its way, and then yes, Dash Rendar. It said Leia Organa, and yes, the Coruscant Guard Luke.
Which Coruscant Guard Luke is
Which
one of my
I
favorite
don't
characters
remember.
ever.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
You got to keep the power of the Force dimensions too. Make him buff like he was.
Yeah, we're in a weird limbo right now, and the Acolyte has really, we were kind of already in limbo, and then it's like we took mushrooms while we were in the limbo. And we're just kind of like floating around here, just like, what's going on? Oh, you're going to make a Rey movie. Oh, that's canceled. You can't figure out one movie. So now you're going to make 3 movies with Rey, because I guess their story is that layered and complicated that they needed to go from 1 to 3. And they're talking about adding it on
It's
to
better
the
than that.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, I want to hear this one.
It's actually 5 total Rey projects. So you have I can't remember her name. She has a standalone Rey movie. That's still a thing.
Arbid
Now
and
this
Shinoy.
guy, this guy from Rebels, he has a trilogy that's separate from the standalone, and he wants an older Rey. And then Sean Levy has a movie, and he wants a much, much older Rey in his film. And that's where that article was getting to, is how do you make her who I think is a great character, but just not as popular as characters that you've well established that they're gone. They're not coming back. Now you're going to say not only are we making 1, but we have 3 different projects, and are these all going to jive together? Should we sit down and discuss so there's continuity between these projects? And do you really want to make her the tentpole for Star Wars going forward? That all of these movies are going to be focused around one character at different ages in their lives, to where, unless you use some trickery, which works in small doses, but doesn't necessarily work, for long periods of time.
Maybe by the time they get to him, she will be that old.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And yeah, that like you were saying, D-Doc, that's kind of where a lot of confusion is coming out too. Is what is it that we're actually doing here? How many different Rey projects are there? Are they all the same? Are they different? Again, most of this stuff is just ideas on cocktail napkins at this point. The original Rey movie's on its 4th writer and just got bumped from its release date.
It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just weird. It doesn't. I was falling for this stuff before, and now it's just like, oh yeah, you're gonna make 3 or 4 or 5 Rey movies now, and that's how we're gonna move forward with Star Wars. And I'm not a Rey hater either. I'm not.
Me either.
It's just not realistic. Don't tell me that you can't think of new stories. It's just a bunch of BS. It really is, and it all comes down to leadership. Who's in charge, and who's the one who's had all of these canceled projects? It's ridiculous to me.
So I'm going to throw something out there though, because I admit we kind of are in a little bit of a bash session on Disney's Star Wars era. But Alpha, you sent across the video today of Kanan Jarrus holding back the flames and saving Hera and everybody else. And I will say this: that scene has gotta rank up there. I don't know how high, top 10, top 5, whatever, of all Star Wars. The gravitas of that scene, the music of that scene, everything involved with that scene, the moment of realization of that scene, it's way up the chart for me. And that's Disney Star Wars. So how do we go from that, and that's an animated series, how do we go from that to now not being able to find our behinds from a hole in the ground in Disney Star Wars? I don't know.
Yeah.
We talked about Force Awakens being a good movie overall, a very good Star Wars movie, and that part of Rebels, and really the Rebels series overall, being top notch Star Wars, Rogue One being top notch Star Wars. How do we go from that kind of stuff to where we are today? I don't know. I don't know.
Bad leadership.
Yeah, you gave the keys to a bunch of people who had no idea how to drive the bus.
I'll tell you what, and it's like, it's funny. It's like you think about it as like a new car or something. They did get Star Wars, and they did hit the gas and go for a good joyride, and we had fun with it. But then they forgot how to get a freaking oil change after they took it for the first joyride.
I've said this many, many times. You just look at the Kenobi series. That started as a standalone movie that went to a trilogy, that went to the scrap heap, and then got dusted off. And out of all that money and time and investment you made, there's a handful of memorable scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it was garbage. It was just literal filler garbage. And I hate to be that way, but it was. The first episode was solid. And the last episode, other than that stupid chase, God, I don't know how people come up with something so just silly. Other than the Vader fight in that episode, and yeah, the emotions at the end, okay, I'll give you that. But it was just not good. Does everyone in the Empire, are we supposed to believe that everyone on that Star Destroyer just forgot that they have TIE fighters? That they had multiple shuttles? They couldn't follow two ships. Like, oh no, what do we do now? Well, we can only follow one.
And that's what I just think they need to figure out is the space between. It's like they have moments that really do hit for me. And obviously I love The Mandalorian. I don't have many complaints about it. I mean, the last season of it was, not the most memorable for me.
I
But
do
it has
not
some
get
great
that argument.
scenes.
Yeah, it's I'll say there's moments that randomly will hit and things that I don't love that much that will make me tear up. Like Rise of Skywalker when Han Solo shows up with Ben. That scene gets me. And it's like there's a lot of stuff in between and all over before that point where I'm just like, this isn't really working for me. Where I love that scene. There's scenes I love where I'm just like, all right, I like this. It's just about filling the space in between from the banger scenes that they need to figure out.
I can give you that. And Alfie, your idea, your thoughts, you think episode or season 3 of Mando was great? I think it had some really good ups, some great ups, and I thought it had some really goofy downs as well. The Jack Black Lizzo thing, that episode, I mean, Christopher Lloyd. I mean, come on, they could have done a lot more in that episode, I think, than what they did.
They could have, but I still loved when they fought the battle droids.
And Battle Droids was fun.
I gotta give season 3 a rewatch.
Okay, this goes back.
Let's do that. We should do that.
This goes back to the Force Awakens problems. Okay, and it's a great example of it, and it is what makes Star Wars so hard to create. The Force Awakens suffered from the writers. We're not just talking one writer; multiple writers' inability to deal with the character of Luke Skywalker. Because with The Force Awakens, they wanted to reintroduce the old characters to introduce the new characters and have them take over. But every single writer came up against this block of, we put Luke Skywalker in the story and it's no longer Rey, Finn, and Poe. It's Luke Skywalker. It's his movie again. He takes over everything. So you put Luke Skywalker, even though he was the only Jedi to fit that made sense in season 2 of Mando, and you have reached Mount Everest peak Star Wars. You will never, ever reach that again. So anything you make after that is going to seem goofy and silly, even though they're kind of going back to what the Mandalorian story was from the beginning. It just doesn't hit as hard as Luke Skywalker showing up and single-handedly destroying a platoon of Dark Troopers.
So I'm going to throw in there this, and it has to do with another story, but we'll just tag it all together. Cara Dune shows up in the new Star Wars Encyclopedia.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a character that Star Wars has desperately tried to say, hey, the actress opened her mouth, so we're going to basically hide that character from things, right? But she's back in the new Star Wars Encyclopedia, and there's a section of her on there. Thank you to Adam Bray for bringing that to everybody's attention. I haven't seen the new Star Wars Encyclopedia. But I think what more than the Luke Skywalker thing, I think season 3 got detoured because they said, "Oh crap, we have an entire plan for the Cara Dune series, and then because of this, we just have to kind of slap some things of that into this series and put some things together with some duct tape to make it to where we get some of that story wedged into this." So I felt like that kind of happened in season 3. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like that was kind of like some haphazard stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love things with Bo-Katan. I love the things with the Dark Troopers. I love the things with Moff Gideon. There were so many up points of there, but I did think there was some hodgepodge miscellaneous things going on because of that duct tape work of wedging that series into this. So that was my opinion on it.
I could see that. I mean, I think it also has a lot to do with the focus on the Mandalorians as a whole rather than just the Mandalorian and Grogu. I don't think that story kind of hit the way that we
True.
wanted it to. But then again, what if this was the beginning to a bigger story, and after you see like season 5 or 6, you come back and say, you know what, now this season makes a lot more sense. See
I'm
what you're
fine with
trying
that.
to build here. And I think that's kind of, as much as we love the Mandalorian show, each season 1 and 2 were so different from each other as far as
Yeah.
the scope and the direction. I see when you watch season 1, it's almost like it was, this is where we're going with this, a very small story, and then it was very successful. So you get to season 2, and it's almost as if they were saying, you know what if we start dropping some seeds here, and if it sticks and people like it, man, we could really build something off of it. But if it doesn't, it's not necessarily important to the story, because the story leaves every one of those characters behind. Cobb Vanth, Ahsoka, Boba
Mhm.
Fett. You can just keep moving on and it doesn't affect anything. Now trying to then, you say, oh, wow, that was really successful too. But was it really successful because of the Mandalorian, or was it successful because of the series finale with Luke? And how do you want to build off of that? I think
Right.
the Book of Boba Fett was probably going to be a lot more until COVID hit, and I do think they slapped a lot of that together, and it didn't work very well. Again, another series that had some really memorable moments, but as a whole didn't work. I thought the first few episodes with the Tuscans were great. I thought the last episode with the Mando Bros, what more can you ask for? 2 Mandalorians with jetpacks killing people. That's amazing. Sign me up. The episode 5 with Luke and Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane and Black Chrysanthemum and Fennec Shand and Ahsoka and R2, that is like the most amazing 45 minutes of Star Wars ever, If you were to go back 20 years and try to explain that to somebody, their head would have exploded. But does it work in the series? Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll actually never forget the day that I watched that episode with Luke training Grogu, because one of the kids were home sick and I had to take off from work and stay home with them. And usually I couldn't watch The Mandalorian because it releases at 3 a.m. here. I would be watching it and then jumping on the show right after. But I got to sit down like with my coffee still, like in the afternoon, and watch that episode. And it was something that I just remember. I can still just put myself in that moment seeing that. And those are the things they randomly do hit on. They really do. They do find it. But I
That
don't know.
episode is amazing, but in the series, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Oh no. As far as going in Book of Boba Fett and everything, no. But it
Alfie,
was awesome.
I'm gonna take some of your advice here, and I'm gonna try to be big picture on it, and I'm gonna hope that the groundwork that they've laid is something that exactly what you said. A few years from now, I'm gonna go back and watch this in some chronological piecemeal, put it together kind of thing, and see if I go, that kind of that works better now, right? Instead of watching it at the moment and judging, I'm going to go put it together chronologically and say, I'm going to watch it through and see. And you know what? You're probably right. I'm probably going to look and go, this works better now that I've sat down and seen it this way. Maybe that just needs to be put out there a little bit better. Maybe they need to market it that way and have people look at it that way. I don't know. So
Yeah, and I do think some of this just comes with modern show making, which just makes it hard. Is it's like you watch a show and you're in it, and then it's like, okay, the next season will be out in 3 years. You know what I mean? It's like a lot changes in the time between. It's there's all these actors they go on and do different stuff, and there's scheduling conflicts, and it takes a long time to make it, and all the it's like, and that was a I don't know if any of you guys have seen the clip about Ben Affleck talking about AI in Hollywood, but that was an interesting clip, wasn't it? Because he talks about he's like the main thing that I'll say is he's like, maybe you'll get House of the Dragon in 1 year rather than opposed to 2 years or 3 years between seasons.
Yep.
Or all these shows where he's like, it's just he's like, now if I was in the CGI business, maybe I would be a little bit worried or whatever. But they were talking about like the grand scheme of AI replacing everything for movies or whatever, and he's like, you can't do that. Now I did take slight offense that he's like, you can get a bunch of carpenters or whatever who can go do the same thing or whatever, which I'm like, all right, Ben, that's an art as well, so relax a little bit with that. But it's I'm all about that if we can get seasons faster, because it keeps me in it. I get distracted. I go watch Game of Thrones. Next thing you know, my mind is in Westeros, and then I'm back into Star Wars, and then I'm on to whatever the hell else I'm gonna watch. And it's like it's like a long distance relationship with these things, kind of, if you think about it. That's why
I like it. No, it's some well put together stuff. Speaking of which, to jump off topic, you brought up Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and all that stuff. Guys, have you guys watched the first season of Silo on Apple Plus or on Apple TV?
No.
Okay.
I've heard good stuff.
The first season's incredible, but I just watched the first episode of season 2, which just came out last week. I'm giving 2 thumbs up to Silo. Special graphics.
See, there you go. It's not StreamYard, and my hands are right here.
Wow, I don't know what I do to make that happen, but I'm just a Joe. 2 thumbs up.
He's got the magic.
Go watch StreamYard. Let's see if I do some other things.
Silo.
Watch Silo. I'm seeing if anything. Yes, Silo on Apple. You guys will love it. My wife, who is not a sci-fi kind of fan or anything like that, she absolutely loves Silo. So there you go, Hyperspace Heroes. Silo does justice to the books. They're fantastic. So Alfie, I thought you brought up another thing before we get to toy talk or anything. I know we've got some topics here. We see that Krennic is going to be back in Andor season 2.
That's right.
We see that we're gonna have some, possible arranged marriages. We're gonna have some dinner parties, all that kind of stuff. I thought, yes, you beat the person on Twitter to the punch, saying there will be Imperial fundraising dinners to help with the funding of the Death Star. And I thought the article you put of people got sick of the parliamentary procedures in the prequels of Star Wars, but now we're going to get defense budget episodes in Andor. So I think it's fantastic. I'm really interested to see what people think of these storylines right here.
Riveting television. Be hanging on every word.
What would you say the Empire is going to do to raise funds? I want to hear your.
Oh yeah,
your
the
thoughts.
reverse raffle. Where every Imperial department will create a basket full of items, and maybe some baked goods, and then you raise money by raffling on them. You
Sure.
have to pay the cover charge to cover for dinner and beer and wine. If it's successful, I've been to a few that were very, very successful, and granted, they were Catholic based, so we'll say, where they actually broke out the blackjack tables by the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
People were spending money, so hey, who wants chips?
I would pay money right now to see an Imperial fundraising dinner and reverse raffle go
That's
on
right.
for the Death Star. That would be fantastic. I mean, do you think they have like pools like other people have, like for March Madness or for Super Bowl, but in the Empire? Can you imagine guys walking around the Death Star collecting money and giving you a tab or giving you a square on some kind of a board or something like that? The pod
Yeah.
races, or
You gotta have some fun on there, man.
yeah,
Right?
I'm telling
Like
you.
Rebel Starfighter cards. How many X-wings are going to get blown up this week?
See, love it. It's fantastic. But when you were sending those over, I was just cracking up, just envisioning Krennic coming in. He's got like a pineapple upside down cake,
Yes.
something like that.
Mhm.
That his wife or significant other made. I've been to
It's gonna
so
be a
many
good
of those.
time.
Yeah.
Right
I'm
after Saturday
experiencing-
Mass.
Yeah,
Stick around.
I'm experiencing that now, and I do enjoy it. It is a good time. It is fun.
It is.
Chili cook-off. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Good stuff. We talked a little bit about the new Lego set that you guys showed.
Mhm.
Was it Ahsoka? I don't remember. It was a Jedi Starfighter, I think.
That's right.
And I have a question for you. Is Lego a monopoly?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
I
I mean,
mean-
there's other companies that try, but they're not even close.
I mean, I know they're a European company, so it's not like we can do anything about it, but can the U.S. government is supposed to break up monopolies, right? They're supposed to. That's one of the things is make it to where nobody's monopolizing any kind of business and industry to where they can raise the prices to wherever they want, not have competition. Does there need to be, like a split? Does something need to happen to where, because let's face it, Deduck, you even said it. Right now, Lego can charge whatever they want for an item that they're bringing out. And it's not like you can go, well, I'll buy this version of it over here. I mean, there's no Coke versus Pepsi. There's no, Frito-Lay is becoming a monopoly. I mean, they truly are in the chip industry. But there's still some small companies that battle them. But what's the actual company that battles Lego right now?
It would be Mega Bloks, which
Mhm.
they make Pokemon like Lego type sets. That's like their bread and butter is the Pokemon ones, which I don't even think are necessarily too popular, like maybe with like hardcore fans of Pokemon. But They also do Halo sets that not many
Mhm.
people buy either, and they don't, shake
We've
people
bought the
up.
Pokemon ones.
Are
Yeah,
those
yeah,
for
they're-
younger? Are those for younger, like toddlers and things like that, or are those for more grown up as well?
the kids they're kind of hard to build, honestly. That's the thing, is it's like Lego's bricks are so much better than any other bricks I've ever built with. But there's other companies that are technically allowed to make the bricks. It's all about what brand deals you get. And Lego has all of the major brands. Lego has Star Wars. Like, think about their major
Harry
ones. If you
Potter.
go to a section, you're going to have Star Wars, you're going to have Harry Potter, you're going to have Marvel, and you're going to have Mario, which is the last couple of
Disney.
years ago. Yeah, Disney. And then Lego has their own brands too, which do really well. Like, Lego created Lego Friends. They have Lego City. Like, they've created their own. What bothers me about this, and it's like I'm pretty bitter about it, is it's like Lego's usually pretty consistent. And that's what's bothering me, is it's like over the last year or two, it's like they released the desert skiff that goes with Jabba's sail barge, which Jabba's sail barge is $500. I'm just not going to buy that. I don't have anywhere to put it. I don't have any room to put it anyway. But they released a desert skiff that they knew that it would complete it for all the collectors, and they made it $80, and it just doesn't add up for it to be $80. They have a pod racer set that I would love to buy right now that's $80. That doesn't add up to $80. There's just stuff they're doing where it's like, we're gonna pinpoint a character that people want, which they're gonna do Anakin and Ahsoka, which there hasn't been. Like, there was an Anakin figure a little bit ago, but this set is a good looking set, but it's usually what these budget sets are. It's the $30 to $35 set. That's usually what it is, and they're just gonna charge you $45 for it now. And that's the difference, where it's like, if I see that set for $30, I'm buying it day of. For $45, I'm gonna wait over a year to buy that set if it goes on sale, which it will. It'll go on sale eventually because people are waiting them out now, just like they did for Black Series. So it's just taking advantage of a fan base for like sections of their fandom that they love, and they wish they could kind of like feel that again. Like how that's what they're doing.
Okay.
I don't buy Legos that often, but I'm with D-Doc here. I could usually walk through the Lego section and look at the size of a box and tell you the price.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're usually very consistent. I'll say.
And didn't you say it was like a certain percent per piece, right?
Yeah, and people argue about the price per piece count sometimes, where it's like, for this set with Anakin, there's a printed shield on the like on the Jedi Starfighter. There's the cockpit is printed,
Mm-hmm.
which they've done it before. So like the difference, like the Jedi Bob that I still haven't finished, like this just has a clear shield on it. And I overpaid for this, but this was one set that I thought was actually going to sell out because people wanted it so bad that I just did like a screw it, I'm gonna pay for it.
How much do these usually go for?
Those usually go. They started around the $50 to $60 range. Now they put them up for $70, $80.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with Kylo Ren's now. That's going to be on the books for the Force Awakens anniversary. They're doing Kylo.
Makes sense.
But he's going to be like $70 too. And when they were doing it, it was like they did Vader's, which Vader's piece count was a little bit more than other ones, but they charged like $80 for Vader compared to where the other ones were like 50 to 55 range. And then inflation hit, where you had Rex like releasing at like 65, 70 range and other ones. But when those were coming out and they were in the 50 to 55 range, like I got the Scout Trooper for that price. It was like, I could feel good about paying that price and building it and feel like I'm getting something that's worth that. And I just don't feel like Lego can cry inflation anymore with this shit. Like, pardon my French, but like, we've been in this economy for a little bit now. So like, you can't say that you adjusted for inflation and charged me X amount, and now we're essentially in the same economy, and you're going to put $20 onto it. It's BS. It's just taking advantage of your fan base, and I hate to see it from Lego because I'm a big Lego advocate and fan. So,
Alfie, I have to ask real quick. I know it's a late show. Are you working tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you
I'm done on
getting
my
enough sleep?
soapbox.
Because I no. I don't want to keep you on if you're like way past your cash out time to get ready for work.
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay.
A little bit longer.
Trying to be courteous. Trying to
I
be courteous.
appreciate it.
Yeah. No, D-Doc, I love the insight on it because it's something that I only got the Rex because it was like $20 off when I bought it. Target was running like a weekend sale, and I saw it and I was like, I told my wife, I was like, these are usually $20 more. I can, I'm going to get this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm still going to build it. We're waiting till the winter when we're old people sitting around in our blankets and got nothing to do. We're going to just get out the table and put our Lego set together.
Sitting there in your rocking chair,
That's right.
fire lit, maybe
Right.
smoking a pipe in your
Got my slippers on.
yeah, and your slippers in your robe.
Alfie, I have a soapbox to get on. So before I do, I want to get with you on Galaxy of Heroes because it is something you're passionate about.
It's a shitstorm this week.
Yeah, give us a rundown on that.
So basically this week they released a major update to the game because it's the 9th anniversary, and I don't know how many people play this game, but it's always touted as being the most profitable Star Wars game because there are so many things you can buy. When a new character comes out, you can pay a few $100s and have them maxed out the day that it comes out.
And what do you call those people who do that? Whales or something? Whales.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, this week with this update, it introduced a new feature called Episode Quests. And it took features of the game that were always free to play and put them behind a paywall. So whereas in one game mode, they were called Galactic Challenges. And basically every week you would have like 2 of them, let's say. You'd have 3 days to complete it. I'll try to keep this fast and simple. But it would be based on this week you're fighting the Sith, right? And you're going to get bonuses if you use Jawas, only Jawas. So you would have like 13 levels on this challenge, and how many can you complete with Jawas? And then there'd be 3 other like things to meet. Usually one was winning. Just if you win, that gets you one part of the challenge. Or let's say a common one was win with a light side and a dark side character. And the 4th one might be, I think the one this week is remove 400% turn meter during the battle. So basically you would have one set of challenges with a set team. Like I said, Jawas. Then you would have 3 more where you had to kind of work and finagle and figure out which combination, because there's like 200 characters, right? So you could try to figure out, if I put these together, I can complete this. Well, now 3 of the challenges are behind a paywall, and you have to pay, and it's $20 to get the pass. But then they offer a $50 pass to make the $20 pass seem better. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, well, for $20, it seems like I can unlock a whole bunch of stuff, and it's a lot cheaper than spending $50. But they're asking you to do that twice a week. And that has caused a lot of people in the past few days have quit the game. And not just people that are free to play, but actual people that have spent money on the game are saying, that's enough. I already spent enough as it is. There's so many game modes. In most game modes, if you spend $10, you get a lot of extras, and it makes that mode a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
and
there's
now
a
you're
lot
just
of layers.
throwing.
That game.
Yes, there's literally like 15 different layers to the game, like every day, different things, because you have the stuff that you do yourself, you have the stuff that you do with your guild, just different game modes tacked on top of other game modes. You have stuff like next week Conquest will start, and that's a 2-week game mode, and you have to play the game 3 or 4 times a day for 20 minutes at a time just for this one game mode.
So that's not like a $20 or $50 for the year. It's like a
No,
subscription
it's
type thing.
yeah, it's per pass, and I think it may. I'm not. I'd have to look again to see how long it lasts, but I think the $20 may be like, if not every week, every 2 weeks.
That is unbelievable. Actually, that's
Right.
insane. Gouging the fan base.
Right, and that was a mode of play where you got a lot of stuff for free. It may not be exactly what you needed, but it definitely helped you progress in the game.
I mean, look, I never got into much of gaming, right? I was an Atari kid. The rest of it, played Super Mario, all that. But I've never been much of a gamer. I've always said I've enjoyed watching Joey and his friends play tons of games because they got so good and realistic then that I thought this is cool. I can watch it. It's like watching a show or a movie,
Hmm.
just playing a game. But I've never jumped into it, and I especially doubt I would jump into it now if I think, oh, I can get into it and play. But then, oh, by the way, here's this, toll. Here's this toll, right? I mean, it's just constantly, as Dedoc said, just constantly just gouging you, and
Right.
yeah,
It's different when, like, say for instance, they came out with these things called light speed bundles, and they're $10 to $20, right? But you don't have to buy them to progress in the game. You can, like, there's one they just came out with them this week, $10 to get the R2 light speed battle, and it unlocks all the characters you needed to unlock R2D2. So if you're a new player, $10, you're like, oh, that's cool. This is going to save me a few months of grinding. But again, you don't have to do it. Now they're putting this mode where you can't progress at all unless you buy a pass. Like, you're familiar with Fortnite, right, D-Doc?
Absolutely.
And buying the battle pass.
Yes.
Okay, this is basically saying you have to buy the battle pass, or you are limited in this game. You cannot use any of this stuff unless you buy it.
Yeah, which I give Fortnite credit on that, because with me having a kid growing up in the age of microtransactions, it's like I grew up in the age where we went from just playing a game to microtransactions happening. So it's like I'm always aware of it, and I'm always aware of a game when a game is going to try to trap you into it. It's almost like it's almost like, taking a guy who has like a gambling addiction and being like, come on, why don't you do a little more? Like, it's like they set them up so you fall in love with the game and they want you to do it. And there's many people who cannot do it, and there's people who will spend a ton of money to do it. And I just think I didn't even know that this happened, and I think it's insane because that game is already so profitable. They had no reason to do that.
Absolutely zero.
Absolutely no reason to do it. And is that made by EA, by the way?
I can't. I know it's CG, but I think it's overall EA.
Because I watched a video last night that, because you know how Bob Iger is supposed to be out by 2026. Disney usually hires from within for their CEO. There's one outside possibility, and it's the CEO of EA, who is the king of microtransactions. He has ruined gaming to where it's like you buy a game for $70 and they want you to essentially pay a subscription fee for the rest of the time you're playing it. I pray to God that man does not get a shot at becoming the CEO of Disney, because that would be terrible.
Hyperspace Heroes is chiming in on some of this. Not digging the update so far. Episode track is showing 24.5 days right now, so I think the pass might be 4 weeks. Still a lot though. Won't do it. I don't feel what you get for the pass is even worth it. Okay, so it's even on top of what you guys are saying, Aaron there at Hyperspace is chiming in and agreeing on that. I'm just glad I haven't gotten into it. I mean, look, I am a free market capitalist, right? I want people to
Same.
make their money. I want people to cash in when they can cash in. If I could come up with an idea tomorrow that I could go sell and make, a couple $1 million, I would do it and say, taking the money to the bank, see you later. So I don't have a problem with these people making profits. I don't think that at all. But I do see when you're talking about they're already profitable and then, hey, let's go ahead and stick it to you even more. I mean, there's limits, and
Right.
yeah.
I've spent money on this game. I have no problem spending money on the game, but there's never been a mode that required you to spend money. Like the Conquest
With the
is coming
choice.
out. I would usually buy the $10 battle pass because it unlocks like double everything. So to me, it was worth it. And the thing that I liked was I don't have to do it. It's a choice. I can enhance the game by doing so.
Yeah, and I was a big Clash of Clans guy, and they came up with their season pass, and I paid it for a couple years probably because it was $5 a month, and it was an
Right.
easy $5 a month to spend, and they had their microtransactions involved in it, and a lot of the fan base would buy it. I was always fine with. I like this game. I feel like the developers do a good job. I'm okay to spend $5 a month to get more benefits out of the game. Then they just randomly raised it to like $8 a month. And that's where I was
Right.
just like, all right, I'm done with this because I'm getting the same benefits out of it. And now I'm doing the math on what I'm spending a year on this, and it's not
Yeah.
worth it to me.
For instance, when they dropped the Kiadi Mundi Lightspeed bundle, I didn't have a problem paying the $10 because
Hey, how old was he during that bundle?
that's pretty good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because he was a character that was very extremely hard to unlock. It would have taken me at the rate that we were going. It would have taken years to do. So for $10, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? That's okay. I didn't have to do it, and it didn't hinder me in any way not to do it.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, okay, you guys are putting development into this game constantly. I get it. It's not like it's like you created the game, you released it on a disc, and you're done. And that's where games have changed. Is that's what it used to be, but now you have all these updates, and all of the developers are still working on it after it releases, and sometimes they're releasing stuff that isn't even fully produced. But it's when games went public with investors and people realized it's like $1 billion industry and you can make more out of it after you get that initial buy, that's when everything changed with games now. And I see it with my son because me and him play Fortnite together, and Fortnite is very good at releasing a lot of new stuff and making you want to get it. Now for me, I'm like, they're pretty respectable with it because if you buy that season pass one time and if you play it consistently enough, you can keep buying the next one for free if you save your stuff from it and you don't go buy everything that they're constantly throwing at you. But for kids, they want the new thing all the time, and they're just going to keep making that money. Don't get me wrong, it's a good business plan, but you hate to see it when a game, and like Joe said, I'm all for capital, like I'm all for it as well. But don't like stick it to me when I've been loyal to you for years. That's where it comes down to that. It's be loyal to your customers.
Yep.
And don't try to really screw them over. Yeah. Which it's worked before. They did it with Battlefront 2. They tried to do it with Battlefront 2, and the people revolted against them, and they took all the microtransactions out of it.
Yeah, within a few days.
Yeah, it was bad. That was really bad.
Yeah, it's bad when people who have played this game for years are not only quitting, but they are decimating their roster so that they can't come back. So
Wow.
there is no incentive to ever want to play this game again.
They're burning the boats.
Yes.
Okay. I think, well, one, that was very educational for me because I don't jump into that area, but I think I'm going to burn the boats a little bit here on something myself, and it's probably something
Oh boy.
I shouldn't talk about. But I mean, I think we've all been fairly open and fairly relaxed on political stuff and things like that. But I think I finally got to a breaking point on somebody that I've always looked up to, I've always respected. I've always tried to give the second chance to look at this person and say, well, this is a person who meant so much to me growing up in the roles that they played and the things that they've done that and the fandom, then I'm going to give them a slide on some things. But I'm just going to say that I'm kind of done and overall with Mark Hamill. I mean, and that's sacrilege. It is sacrilege, but and if you're listening to the show and you don't like me saying that, you know, you don't have to listen. It's a podcast where a few buddies sit around and talk about it and have fun with each other. And if nobody wants to listen after I say that and this, don't. We'll still have fun and talk about this stuff together. But you know, we had a person who said some comments that or posted some things that in Gina Carano that certain people, you know, she got fired. She got taken out of a job and lost a job and probably lost other jobs. Well, we know she lost other jobs because she went against the machine. But we've seen other people just torch things, throw gas on the fire. I mean, whether it's the acolyte lady, I don't remember her name, Leslie Headland, you know, whether it's the new lady the new girl who's doing the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, just torching things, right? Like
Snow White's on a good run right now.
torch, just barren earth left after they comment on things. But because of the aspect that they're looking at it, most of society is supposed to sit back and just say, well, that's just their right to say those things. And, you know, I think Gina Carano, I personally, if I'm looking at this, she has every right to win this case that she's up against on Disney. Will she ever work for them again? I don't know. Does she want to? Probably not. I mean, it's been burnt down, right? The relationship. But Mark Hamill, I've watched year after year for the past, you know, I didn't even, before 2016, I don't know. I don't know if I ever paid attention. I don't know if I ever paid attention to him saying anything political. But after 2016, the amount of stuff that's come out of this guy on social media is rancid. And the things and the hatred that he spews, the reason I'm so upset about it is you have the chance, because you're an icon for the past 50 years, you're somebody that the character you play, and don't say you're not Luke Skywalker because you told Rian Johnson, I am Luke Skywalker. And the character of Luke Skywalker would not do and say the things that he's doing or has done. And it's not like he came out of the blue and said something even more recently. I think I'm just finally fed up with it. And I know he jumped off Twitter and went to Blue Skies or whichever. Go have fun in your Blue Skies. But he definitely got to a point where you have a chance to be that icon and just stay middle of the road and teach peace and happiness and bringing people together. And I really feel like he did more of a job of dividing people and causing hatred. And if he is Luke Skywalker, as he says he is, then I don't think he's doing that character justice away from the screen. And so I'm, as much as I'm a Luke Skywalker fan of the original trilogy and Luke Skywalker fan in the things that he's played recently or that his character's been in recently, you know, I'm not going to be collecting a lot of anything related to Luke Skywalker, and it's because of the way that he's just approached society and the hatred he has. If you have these opinions, that's fine, but why use that as your pedestal? Go out and teach peace and happiness and getting along and loving people and all that, instead of the hatred that you're spewing out there. So that's my soapbox. Is he's really just kind of torched me as a fan, and I think he could have done it a lot better. And when you see somebody like Gina Carano, and whether she said something that inflammatory or not, I don't know. I didn't see it as that inflammatory because I guess, I don't know, I'm educated enough to understand the point she was trying to make. But what came out of him in the past so many years, it just kind of made me fed up with it. And I was always a Luke Skywalker, Ben Kenobi, those were my two guys. And I don't know. It's soured on me. So if you're a big Mark Hamill fan, sorry, but I mean, I think he could have done better with the appeal that he has to the millions of fans who love him. So that's it. That's what I had. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree, or have any comments on it, but don't let the door hit you in the behind, Mark. And I'll go watch the original trilogy and just think you're a peaceful, happy guy like you are in those movies, and not the hateful, angry person that I hope I don't turn into as I get older. So that's it.
Oh man, I accidentally hit it twice. That kind of ruined it.
No, that's funny. I was expecting you guys to talk and then hear that. That's too funny. Yeah. So that's it.
Yes, no, I agree. I stopped following him in 2016. I thought it was too much. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, politically, socially, whatever. But he took it way too far. Especially the day I stopped following him was the day that he talked about Ted Cruz's children, and I thought that was way out of line. And I don't even know what to say after that. That just broke me as a person.
Yeah. There's levels to things, and when you dedicate every single day of your life to post about stuff every single day, every day, there's something going on there. Enjoy your regular life a little bit. Everyone in this world is totally exposed to politics anymore.
Yep.
We are totally exposed to it, and people take positions or whatever. You do not need to isolate and talk down to people constantly every single day. It just, to me, it just means you're not going to listen to any other type of opinion at all, no matter what. You're not going to have any kind of conversation with anyone. So I've muted him a very long time ago. I don't know that I unfollowed him, but I know that I muted him. And I just checked on here because he said he was moving to Blue Skies a little bit ago, and he's still active on Twitter. He's still commenting and doing shit on Twitter. So
You mean
they all give that clause in their farewell speech. Well, I'm keeping it active because this is where I have blah 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 blah. But I'll be on Blue Sky.
Guess what? Their number is extremely minimum compared to the amount of people that are going on Twitter. And guess what? I don't want Twitter to ever become an echo chamber either.
No, I don't.
So it shouldn't be that. So to say I'm going to go here because everybody here agrees with me, I think is the wrong thing. But that's a deeper story.
Yeah, I agree. We can do that on a after dark episode. Hey, real quick, I do want to give everybody, before we close things up, want to give everybody an update. 11 games into the season, Alfie is in first place in his division with Lori, my wife, in second place right behind him by 1 game. Joe Doc is in first place in his division.
And overall.
Yep.
And D-Doc, you are in last place in that division. You got a tough division there.
I have a tough division, and I've also had a tough season.
Yes.
I'm struggling.
Yep. Brent is sitting in last place of your division, Alfie. He doesn't look like he has a chance for the playoffs. You and Lori both have a shot at the playoffs. Joe Doc and Tom Line and Wayne Bush, friends of the show, are all battling in your division, Dave. And then myself and Jeff Oshner are tied for first in our division. And so we're both battling out for one of those playoff spots as well. So, still some activity. Brent and D-Doc going to have a tough end of the season. Alfie and I still battling away for the playoffs with some of our fellow listeners and things like that.
We need another standing, though. And I'm not just trying to toot my own horn here, but I mean, I am, but I'll try to be humble a little bit. But we need a Rule the Galaxy fourth division. Not official, just for funsies. What's our record against each other?
Alfie just beat me.
I have no idea. Alfie, did you beat me as well?
Yeah.
And you beat Brent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's tough.
I don't know if we've played more than once, though.
No, we will only play once. All of
only
us will only play
once.
well, you'll play Brent twice, but Brent, God love you, that's going to be 2 easy wins for Alfie for this season. Yeah. But so that's where we stand right there. And the football season, let's just face it, it's a tough one out there right now. So
hey, and I was picking players like I picked horses like when I was 12 years old at the Kentucky Derby. I don't know. I like this name.
Joe beat me 149 to 142 in week 4. That's a crushing loss right there.
Yeah. Okay.
I've had some tight ones, but you know what screwed me is the fact that CJ Stroud is like a 15-point a week quarterback.
Yeah.
And our league is big enough to where it's like there's not many options to grab from for quarterback on the waiver wire. And since we're doing keeper, it's like there's decisions, there's things I would have done if we weren't like, going with the dynasty type thing.
Yep.
Things I would have done, but I'm just kind of like, I got to live with some of the stuff. I got to just, some of my players who are out, I can't drop them, and I just got to live with it.
Yep. Anthony Richardson is my starting quarterback. I mean, I feel your pain. That was a rough couple weeks.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Did any of your wide receivers fake an injury to get traded?
Wow. Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. So
it's been a tough fantasy year. It has been, and I'm in 2 leagues. My other league, I've been grinding, and I've lived on the waiver wire, and I'm like almost in second place in that league. I hate the 49ers because they just never are clear on whether a player is going to play or not.
They are good at hiding that.
Yeah, I had to start Njoku in my other league because I'm just like, I have no other option if they're going to decide to sit Kittle game time again like they did this past week.
Well, it's definitely been fun so far, and we've had great conversations with the group between the guys from the Rule of Galaxy and then listeners and friends and things like that. So it's been fun. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. And I tell you, who's taking it way seriously is Mrs. Molinaro. She is every day chomping at the bit, looking at the waiver wire, seeing how she can surpass Alfie in first place in that division. So she's having fun with it, though. But
she's close.
I know. So, guys, it has been way too long. I really appreciate you taking the time to, D-Doc, 1, you put all this together, and then 2, for us to take the time to do this. It hasn't worked for our schedule, but I appreciate you doing this. Brent, we'll figure out your technical difficulties and get you back ASAP. But, we're finishing up chapter 298. We got to get 299 in and then see what we're going to do on 300. Man, it's coming right on the corner, and then we'll plan our next trips and plans and whatever we're going to do. So, you guys got any closing thoughts before we break away?
I'm happy with the new format. I've learned even more how to use it as this show has been going on. I'm pretty happy with our first run here. Sometimes I was getting a little distracted looking at stuff on the side here, but
that's all right.
I've got it down now. I think this is going to be really good for our show. So if you guys listen to us, definitely check us out when we go live on YouTube, because there's a lot of fun stuff with this new program that we're working into it, and it ups the production value, in my opinion. So
I agree.
I'm happy to be back.
You just have to show me how to do some editing and make it into a podcast, D-Doc, now.
So what's the purple rectangle at the bottom? I know
that was
YouTube X and
Yeah, that was the Evmux live stream, which I didn't know if they have their own network that we would go out to. So I just threw that in there. You can check off some dots. This can actually live stream to Instagram. So I didn't want to work on that tonight because I think it's a little more complicated. I think me and Joel need to be on the phone to that, but
Okay.
it can live stream to Instagram and Facebook too. So I think we can widen our audience a little bit
I
with
say
this.
we do it.
Yeah, we'll just have to get all those set up. And the Evmux thing, I have no clue what the hell that was. I just threw that in there, and that stayed at 0 the entire time. So no one on Evmux was watching us. But Twitter is the same thing. We need to have a premium subscription to stream on there.
Oh,
They did the same thing.
Let's see about Instagram cuts off at an hour. Thank you, Hyperspace Heroes. Maybe we throw Instagram and Facebook on there and see what happens.
Yeah, I actually had a thing from Instagram. Like when I was looking at the Instagram thing, Evmux said we're in talks with them to get rid of that 1 hour.
Okay.
So they're doing that, but it would be nice to at least get it out there on there. I know we have a Instagram, right?
Yep, we do. Got to use it more. So we will do that. We will. I haven't been on social media near as much as I used to. All the traveling I've been doing recently, I have not been jumping on there like I was in the past. So
it's too much. It's overwhelming.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been a great Friday evening. Let's go have a good weekend. Let's watch some football and chat it up. And yeah, so let's do that. And hey, until chapter 299, may the force be